Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review. It's your post-match reaction video after Rangers rounded off the league campaign at Ibrox with a 5-2 win, a comprehensive win in the end over Dundee after falling 2 goals behind in that first half. Rangers rallied, they reduced the deficit in that first half and before scoring 4 goals in the second half. To talk us through it is Chris Jack on the Ibrox gantry. Chris, I think it was a game of 2 halves, as the old cliche goes. Dundee, of course, Jordan McGee scoring after 38 minutes. Rangers, as has been the case for as was the case at the weekend, and before that, Ross County as well springs to mind, losing 2 goals within a couple of minutes. Antonio Portales putting the Dark Blues 2-0 up, but Rangers responding positively. It's fair to say, you've got to give them credit. Ross McCausland did well to reduce the deficit. Rangers came out much better in the second half. Cyriel Dessers with a great header. Todd Cantwell with a cross-come shot. I think he meant it, I've got to be honest. It was an absolutely supreme finish from him. And then Scott Wright got in on the act with 2 late goals coming off the bench. What was your main takeaways from the game, Chris?
If only things at the weekend had gone differently. This was a 5 goals is what we're meeting in terms of the goal difference. This could have been a very different night. They got the comprehensive goals that they did, but obviously events of the weekend have taken a level of importance away from this one. I thought the 2 goals that Rangers conceded in the first half were really poor. You cannot be losing goals like that. Defensively, really poor. But as you said there, Derek, I think fair play to Rangers for the way they came back. Ross McCausland took his goal well. And after that, second half was comfortable. And also, once Rangers got level, you fancied them to go on and win it. Once they got ahead, there was never really any danger that they were going to go and do something really daft. So, quite an eventful way to round off an eventful season at Ibrox. Not in the manner that we hoped for, not in the manner that we thought it would be just a few weeks ago. But I think the fans that turned out, at least they got a few goals as a thank you. And there's a wee round of applause for the players as they went off the pitch. And I think it's easy to forget that there's still a Scottish Cup to be played for this season. There's also so much kind of heartache and so much disappointment after the way the title campaign has unravelled. It has to be remembered there is still a Scottish Cup. I think this was a decent start for Rangers. Not perfect by any means, but it was a start. It was a step in the right direction. And important, it wasn't a step back. If Dundee had gone on and capitalised after going 2-0 up, it could have been a very different night here. Thankfully, that didn't happen. I think there's enough there for the manager to take forward.
Yeah. A comment from Denzel said, I've not seen this. He says, just watched the Sky interview with Cantwell. Tears in his eyes. Looks like his last outing at Ibrox. Not seen it, so I can't really comment on it, but I thought he was decent. More so in the second half, I thought he came onto a game and he was good, Chris. But Rangers are going to need him in that Scottish Cup final. I said to Joshua in the pre-match show that I want to see that midfield and just over a week's time, the Raskin, Cantwell and Diamandi midfield. How do you think they got on tonight?
Okay overall. I thought it was good to see Raskin in the middle of the pitch. I know we spoke a bit about Nico this morning and how important this game was going into Tynecastle and then going into the Scottish Cup final. I think people would rather have him starting that one than John Lundstrom. So I think it was good for him to get the minutes. Thought he came through it fine. Second half, everyone was better. The first half, in stages, it was really poor from Rangers. Certainly defensively, had a couple of chances going the other way. Didn't look overly convincing at times, but second half, I thought everyone really raised their levels. Everyone did look a bit better. So Raskin was good. Cantwell certainly had a big difference in the second half. Really stepped it up. Got the assist for Dessers' goal. Nice cross, good header from Dessers. The goal that Cantwell scored, it was almost just down in front of me at this end of the press gantry. I'm not sure that he meant it, Derek. I think we're being kind. Only Todd will know. Only Todd will know what he was trying to do. But I think he's trying to pick out a blue jersey in the middle of the pitch there, and he's somehow found that top corner. But it was a big moment because it gave Rangers even more of a bit of breathing space. It gave Rangers another strong foothold in the game. So whether he meant it or not, whether it was a cross, whether it was a shot, ultimately they all count. It doesn't really matter. But I think MD that says he definitely meant it as maybe being slightly too kind to him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's saying he meant it. Janet McFarlane says man of the match got to be Cantwell. Yeah, that was. We need to see that at Hampden in just over a week's time. Lots of talking points from the game. There were a lot of young lads given an opportunity tonight, Chris. Leon King started the game for his first start of the season at centre half, of course, with a raft of injuries, playing alongside Ben Davis. Thought he and Red fans sort of caught ball watching for Dundee's first goal. And listen, it's understandable he's not played much football this season. Good to see Robbie Fraser coming on in the second half for Ridvan Yilmaz, who got an hour. I thought Ridvan was good, obviously just building him up. Coming back from injury, but I thought Robbie was good. Hugo Bear says Fraser should have had much more game time this season. I remember getting pelters when I said he should have started at Hampden against Hearts at left back, but I thought he was pretty accomplished down in that left hand side for his what was his debut. We've seen Cole McKinnon coming off the bench as well. Ross McCausland started the game, of course, but of the young lads, was there any that stood out tonight, Chris?
I think you have to give McCausland credit for getting his goal. I think that's probably from a younger player perspective, I think that's probably the most pleasing aspect, because McCausland is someone who will be. It's unlikely that Fraser and Cole McKinnon will be required in the Scottish Cup final unless the injury situation gets even worse. I think it'd be a surprise if you see those two. McCausland has a chance, maybe not at starting, depending how things go in terms of McCausland and Seema, but McCausland could have a part to play at Hampden. So I think that goal will do his confidence no harm at all. I think there's been questions over his final product at times over the course of the season. We know he's still not a young player in terms of years, but certainly a young player in terms of first team experience. This has obviously been his breakthrough season. There's been some really good moments in it. There's been some times where he's fallen away and the managers had to bring him back out. I think McCausland getting that goal will certainly do him a lot of good. Again, most of the first half didn't really have a lot of joy, but I thought he took that one really well. He should have actually scored before that. Dundee gave away the ball really slackly in the middle of the pitch. McCausland picks it up, decides to come inside. Not a great attempt. Goalkeeper makes a fairly comfortable save. If he hits the corner with it, it's probably a goal, but straight down the goalkeeper's throat. So I think coming back from that, knowing that he's missed that chance to then go and get the goal, I say hopefully that does him the world of good, because you can imagine he'll get another start against Hearts at the weekend, and then also depending on, I say, Seema and Matondo, that will determine whether he's got a place in that starting lineup against Celtic.
Yeah, seems to be a bit of activity around the stands. Let's come in here. Tell those Waynes to shut it. They're enjoying themselves in the main stand where Chris is at this moment in time. Interestingly, on Instagram, I love this optimism. We're also obviously on live on there as well. David gets in touch. He says, Kilmarnock win 1-0 tomorrow. We beat Hearts 3-0 and St Mirren beat Celtic 1-0 and Rangers win the league. Keep believing is what he says. So if that comes off, then I think it would be the most utterly incredible title win of all time. But I think even the most optimistic Rangers fans would concede that is highly unlikely. But it was all about sort of delaying the inevitable tonight, Chris. And it showed, good resilience to come back from 2-0 down. That could have gotten ugly tonight when Dundee scored that second goal, couldn't it?
It could have done, because at that stage Rangers hadn't really shown enough going forward. I think it's not just losing the two goals is bad enough. To lose them in the manner that you lost them, again shipping goals in quick succession, that's been a bad theme of Rangers over the last few weeks. Think back to Ross County, also the Old Firm game at the weekend as well. Rangers cannot keep conceding goals in that manner. Don't stop the crosses from the side. Leon King not alert enough. And Jordan McGee gets it at the back post for the first one. The second one, you have to say, from Big Portales, it's a cracking finish. Now he makes the run. It's a lovely flick to take the ball across and away from Jack Butland, but from a Rangers perspective, it's not good enough at all. And at that stage, if McCausland hadn't have got that goal just before the break, I think the atmosphere in here, it could have turned on Rangers. So McCausland got that, gives Rangers just something to build on. And second half, it was fairly comfortable. It's also against the Dundee side who at that stage don't have anything to play for. So there's a whole lot of mitigating circumstances that you have to take into consideration. It's an end of season game. There's players playing knowing that it's their last out in Ibrox. There's players here who are better if there's less pressure on, shall we say. I said there's a lot to. You can't just look and say, well, 5-0. It was 5-star. It was great. There's a lot of mitigating factors in there, but overall, I think it's been a decent night. It's been a decent night's work for Rangers.
Yeah, goal number 22 for Cyriel Dessers this season. A good header, well taken. Jack the Lad gets in touch, says Kenny Miller was saying Dessers was holding his hamstring. He came off for Kamar Roof, of course, late on. Chris, did it look like he was in a bit of pain?
Not that I noticed, but I had my head down typing as the subs were being made, so I didn't notice it. Hopefully not, because he's going to be required. If not at Tynecastle on Saturday, that's maybe when you can give him a rest. You're short of alternatives there, unfortunately, but he's going to start. If he's fit, he's going to start the Scottish Cup final. I thought overall there's times he not really involved, didn't really get a lot of service. I thought he did take his header well, so he can't well with the cross, decent header across the keeper. There was a couple of moments in the second half, balls played into him and just delays, and it's a very Dessers type moment. The next one that then comes to him, he hits it the first time, goes just by, and there's almost like an ironic cheer from the crowd. I think he almost get responded to it. People are like, well, why don't you just do that all the time? Why have you not just done that all season? If it's there, just hit it. But that almost sums up Cyriel Dessers and his campaign. But I thought overall he was decent. Certainly second half a lot better, and getting that goal, say 22 for the campaign. If you just judge a man on numbers, it's a good return. But again, mitigating circumstances. We are talking about Cyriel Dessers.
Yeah, let's hope he bags a few more before the end of the season. Just on a lot of people saying, where was that sort of second half performance before? David Kerr with a point, where were these scores when we needed them? Neil McLean just says, pressure off, so we scored 5 goals. Sick of this group of players. The youth made a difference in the second half. Well done to them. What was the atmosphere like? Was there one or two maybe leaving pretty early on, Chris, and it was a pretty subdued atmosphere inside Ibrox? Understandable, I guess, given what happened at the weekend, but was it a bit of a weird one to experience tonight?
It had a very end of season feel about it. It wasn't exactly rocking pre-match, and I say during that first half, there spells of it where Rangers were nowhere near at it. So a lot of not huge round of boos, but also when the first goal went in, it was almost a shock. When the second one went in, there was a bit more anger there. Second half was a lot better. And I'm pleased that the players, certainly the ones that will be leaving the club, managed to get a round of applause. I say some of them went to the fans at the end, some went round the stadium. Ultimately, it's not been the season that Rangers wanted. It's not been the Premiership title bid or end to it that we thought it was going to be, and we thought that it could be. But there's a number of players that will leave over these next few weeks that have been good servants to the club. So I'm actually disappointed that Borna Barisic never got on for one last outing. I think he was maybe even the last one that went down the tunnel. He also knows this will be his last game at Ibrox. And again, he's had some good moments. He's had some high profile bad moments. Overall, I think for the money they paid for him, he's been a very good servant for Rangers. He's been good to deal with. I think he's given Rangers his best. Not always good enough at times, but no, that's ultimately all that's what you can ask for players. If they come in and they give everything. I said there's a number of them there who will move on now, and I think it was nice that they managed to get some form of applause. If they can take the Scottish Cup to the Rangers fans behind that goal in the Rangers end at Hampden next Saturday, that would be an even better way to round off. That's also the main ambition now. This wasn't the most important fixture of the season. The next big one obviously comes at Hampden, and if these guys can bow out with another medal, it's not the Premiership medal they wanted, but if they can bow out with another medal in their collection, I think there'll be a nice way for all these guys to end.
Yep, I was quite happy to see Robbie Fraser come on instead at Borna tonight. Understand the sort of sentimentality issue with it being his last game at Ibrox, but I was quite pleased to see young Robbie getting game time tonight, and hopefully we see more of him in a Rangers jersey. But I thought Ridvan was good, and you'd like to think that he starts at the weekend. Do you think of that team tonight, Chris? Do you think, well, it depends on which players come back from injury, if there are any. Do you think it'll be pretty much the same as tonight, looking ahead to that game at the weekend?
You would have to imagine so. The way the manager spoke at his press conference on Monday, it wasn't as exactly a case of these guys are out, but they'll definitely be back. I think if there's anyone who's borderline, if there's any doubt over anyone, then it's obvious what game you're saving them for. You are definitely keeping them for the cup final. So anyone who's a risk, anyone who's a doubt, you just say, look, sit out Tynecastle. It's back to business at Hampden for you. Say Seema and Matondo for me are the big ones. Certainly Seema, he would make such a big difference to this side. If they can get him back, it would be a huge boost heading into the final. Apart from that, I think a lot of it depends on how the manager decides to set up. We've spoken a lot about the midfield set up over the last couple of days. So where does Todd Cantwell fit into that? Where does Tom Lawrence fit into that if he's back? Where does John Lundstrom fit into that? I think a lot of people would be happy to see that midfield go again. You see Cantwell, you see Raskin, you see Diomande. For me, that's the three that you go with if you decide to have a number 10. If you don't, which I wouldn't, I would go do John Sterling coming in there. It's also depending on his fitness. So the manager can't take any risks heading to Tynecastle. He won't take any risks heading to Tynecastle. That's just a game to tick off. Hopefully it's another one that gives Rangers a wee bit more confidence. I know that's something we spoke about this morning. It's just about putting the squad back in a better place, putting the support back in a better place. I think in those terms, it's been a job done tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of the young lads play like we witnessed when that road to Seville, if you remember, just prior to the final. Gio bloodied pretty much a full team, just the young lad, pretty much the B team went there and wiped the floor with Hearts. I think it was 3-1 on the day, 3-1 or 3-0, I can't quite remember. But I'd like to see all the young boys getting an opportunity at the weekend as well. Right, that'll do us there. Big thanks to Chris for joining us after tonight's game. Thank you to you all for watching the show, folks. We'll be back again tomorrow, myself and Joshua, on the morning briefing, so we hope you can join us for that. Joshua is currently in the press conference hearing from Philippe Clement, so if you keep your eyes peeled on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to watch that press conference, and it will also be on the website shortly as well. Right, thank you to each and every one of you, and we'll speak to you again tomorrow. Bye for now.